Dow falls 100 points as global growth concerns outweigh positive Mueller outcome for Trump. Stocks fell on Monday as concerns over the outlook for the global economy continued to weigh on investor sentiment even after the special counsel found no collusion with Russia on the part of President Donald Trump. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 27 points as Visa and Nike lagged. The S&P. The moves came amid a global stock decline in Monday's session, both in Asia and Europe. Japan's Nikkei, worries over the global economic outlook were stoked on Friday after the so-called yield curve inverted for the first time in more than a decade. The 3-month trend economies. U.S. stock futures initially pointed to solid gains Sunday after Attorney General William Barr said Special Counsel Robert Mueller's long-awaited investigation did not find enough evidence that Trump's 2016 campaign colluded with Russia. In a letter to top lawmakers, Barr wrote, The White House also said the results are a total. Mueller's investigation had been a lingering concern for investors as it could have hindered Trump's efforts to further cut taxes and further ease regulations on corporations. The news removes this. The investigation nagged the Trump administration for nearly 2 years. It led to the indictment. Investors across the world worried the probe could also bring down Trump himself by potentially leading to his impeachment. Now, Wall Street, China, and the U.S. are expected to strike a deal sometime in April. Sentiment around the S&P 500 is up nearly 31% since Trump was elected in 2016. One key catalyst, Trump. Wall Street also watched shares of Apple as the tech giant is expected to unveil a new streaming service at an event later in the day. In the pre-market, UPN's Tom Frank and Kate Rooney contributed to this report.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.